the spinning thing. So I'll try again. As I mentioned earlier, I got the Hawaiian baby woodrose seeds. Um, Last time I had them was probably about 5, 6 years ago. Um, they contain LSA, which is like a weaker version of LSD. 3, 4 is a fairly mild dose. Um, Up to 8 can be kind of severe, and anything past 8, you're in deep water. I had 4 a couple of hours ago. And it's starting to take effect. Um, a little more than I expected, to be honest. I don't know if you can see I'm sweating rather profusely. Um, One thing I like about LSA, or just psychedelics in general, is they're almost the opposite of addictive. They kind of take you on the trip. You have your insights, usually somewhat profound, and then it leaves you alone, and you want to leave it alone. One thing I've noticed just in the past couple of hours uh, is it completely knocks out the desire to drink alcohol. That I can tell you in a huge way, which for me certainly is very useful. You know, Hopefully I can kind of glean that feeling of how silly it is to drink alcohol and kind of move forward with that. But at least at the moment, um, yeah, the idea just feels like, why would you do that? What joy has that brought you in the past? Like, really? None. Has it brought with it any destruction? Uh, Lots. So, you know, yeah. Like I said, I've only had 4, which I consider to be a fairly mild dose. And the first time we had this, I was 19. We were in Manchester, and we bought them from what at the time was known as a head shop. Sounds kind of rude, but it was like where they sold legal highs, and we got these Hawaiian baby woodrow seeds, um, soaked them in water overnight, and then we drank, whatever the water. I can't remember how many seeds we did that were in the water, but there was, a fair amount. There was 4 of us that did it, and I remember the girl at the time that was with us, um, her saying, "This is not going to do anything to me. This is, I don't believe it. Psychedelics, what tripping, what feeling like I'm connected to all things and like all the rest of it." So I don't think so. Anyway, she was by far the most affected, which was quite amusing and very adorable. She said, "These aren't going to touch me." Anyway, she drank the thing, and about an hour and a half, 2 hours later, she was in my mate's room, going like this. I feel like I'm flying. um, that's not the purpose of. Well, at least not for me. Not at the minute. I'm not. I haven't bought these to get. By the way, it's 100% legal. By the way, YouTube and everybody else. Hawaiian baby woodrow seeds in the UK, perfectly legal. You can buy them from all good botanical. Is that the word? Botanical. All good seed retailers, not seed oil retailers. Unless it's black seed oil, because that's actually good for you. But I've covered all that. I need some inspiration. I need some spiritual intervention, shall we say. I'm still struggling with the alcohol situation. Um, as I mentioned in the previous live stream, like I'll drink alcohol as a way to deal with life, and then I get pissed, and then I make decisions that make life worse, which makes me more stressed, which makes me need more alcohol to deal with it, blah, 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 blah. Vicious cycle. And so I'm looking for some kind of psychedelic intervention that can really kind of sort of hammer home the importance of sobriety. I know it's a funny word to use when you're on LSA, but like I said, psychedelics aren't drugs. It's not. It's really not the same sort of thing. And unless you've had psychedelics before, if you have, then you know exactly what I mean. If you haven't, you'll think I just sound crazy, which is understandable and fine. Um, but yeah, it's useful. like I said on the last thing, they're very insightful little buggers, these LSA seeds, these Hawaiian baby woodrose seeds. Very introspective, and I'm starting to feel quite vulnerable, to be completely honest, in a nice way. Just saying, like I'm sweating a lot. I'm starting to feel a little sick. One of the symptoms usually is you can vomit, and then afterwards that's when it kind of takes full effect. Um, the first time we did it in Manchester, that's what I remember. Is we all vomited, and then within about 5 minutes after that, that's when Gene was flying. But anyway, yeah, I'm not doing it to get out of my mind. I'm not doing it to fucking see fucking Lucy in the sky with diamonds and shit. I'm doing it because it's potentially beneficial, and I'm at a stage in my life where I could kind of do with some kind of spiritual intervention. Comment. Man, you have good clips in your channel. Thanks, buddy. I know. You're very welcome. And thank you. Yeah. I mean, most of this channel, I'll be honest, is not down to me. I don't deserve the credit. It's just like stuff I've sourced from different parts of the internet that I think is very interesting. They're very insightful as to the unfair funfair that we call life. Um, None of it's down to me. Even the music and the little jokes and little comedic little bits and that I've done aren't down to me. Yeah, they come through me and stuff, but I don't own words. I don't own melodies. I mean, the notes, the scales, the chords, they pre-existed long before me. I'm just restructuring them in a way that's advantageous or connects with what I want to express. I didn't invent anything. There's nothing new under the sun, as they say. There certainly isn't. So I don't take credit for anything. All glory to God, and I say that completely unironically. I do believe in God. Somebody was asking me today, "Are you religious?" And I'd have to say currently no. I don't identify with that word because I don't identify with any particular religion. But I certainly believe in God. 100%. It's the old either everything came from something or everything came from nothing. If it came from something, that something is what we call God. If everything came from nothing, then I'm sorry, but you've completely lost your mind. Only nothing can come from nothing, right? It's, it's kind of basic 101 stuff. Everybody knows it. Everybody knows it. The reason they don't want to integrate it and internalize it and believe it per se is because it kind of implies a level of responsibility, dare I say, duty, and that terrifies people, including and especially at times myself. So I get it. I get it. Um, I'm sweating a lot. I think I'm gonna have one more. Like I say, I had four a couple of hours ago, hour and a half maybe. So it's still not completely finished, but I'm gonna have just one more. Um, and then I think we'll call it a night. This is not an advert, by the way. I don't endorse this. I'm not encouraging it. I'm certainly not selling it. Always consult a medical professional before taking the advice from this fucking asshole. But Hawaiian baby woodrose seeds, perfectly legal in the UK. It's kind of like a milder version of LSD, basically. And you can control the dosage, and that's what I like as well, because if you take a tab of LSD acid, you never know what you're going to get. It might be completely blast you to the fucking moon, or it might blast you straight to hell. You just never really know. But at least with the seeds, you can control the dose. You can have one or two and feel a little bit, woo, marshmallow shoe there. 3, 4, a bit more insightful. 5, 6, whoa, and then whatever you want after that. Another important thing is to remove, I believe they call it the husk. I like to call it the pith, just because it reminds me of satsumas. I do like satsumas. Not currently while I'm doing the carnivore diet. Will I be having any satsumas, of course? But yeah, they are a nice fruit, man. But yeah, yeah, they have this like furry kind of coating, the pith or the husk, and if you remove that, you're less likely to vomit. That's a little tip. Um, Never tried those seeds, but a friend of tried and told something. I don't understand that comment. I never tried those seeds, but a friend of mine tried and told something. Okay. What did he tell? Pray tell. Anything interesting? Anything I should probably bear in mind before I have. I said I was going to have one more, didn't I? Well, fuck it, I'm going to have two more. It's been a while. It's been a little while. But, yeah, it's time. It's definitely time. Very hallucinogenic. You mean hallucinogenic, right? Oh, certainly. I mean, depends on. Um, at a smaller level, it's just kind of introspective and interesting and connecting. But if you take enough of them, it can it certainly rival LSD. Depending on the acid, I mean, it can be stronger than LSD if you take enough of them. I don't intend on getting there, certainly not tonight. I probably shouldn't have even said those two extras, but you know, whatever. It's been a while, and what's the worst that can happen? I'll be sick, and I might laugh a bit too much. They don't taste nice. They taste like tree bark. And I'm thinking, how do you know how tree bark tastes? All right, they taste how I imagine tree bark would taste. They taste like wood. I guess the clue's in that woosrose seeds. I don't know. Uh, but yeah, they're not supposed to taste nice. Magic mushrooms taste fucking disgusting. There's a theory that to get to the psychedelic benefits of these things, you have to tolerate or overcome the initial disgusting taste. You know, life is all about, especially modern life, it's all about pleasure. People eat for pleasure. They don't think about the nutrients or the benefits or the risk factors. They say, what does it taste like? What does it taste? It's all about taste, flavor, taste, taste, taste. And they're forgetting that food is a drug like any other. It's going to affect your body. It's going to affect your mind. It's going to affect your brain. It's going to affect your longevity. And that's the important thing. And so you can have sugar all day, drink fucking iron brew, and satiate your pleasure senses all day long, and dumb yourself down, become retarded, and die young. You know, like I do with alcohol, for example. Although it doesn't taste nice, that's kind of different. Beside the point. Or you can chew down on some shit that tastes like sour wood and experience the benefits. I don't know. It's kind of a loose theory, but here's what it is. Kind of a loose guy. Loose cannon man. No, not really. Mm. My mum wanted kids. My mum, definitely wanted kids. She always wanted kids. My dad definitely wanted sex. He always wanted sex. And so here I am, telling the tale. It's not even a fucking tale, is it? But yeah, here I am. I don't know where that came from. I do actually. When I used to do stand up, when I was in my early 20s, I only did it about 10 times. That was one of my openers. I know it's kind of cringe and that way. Well, ladies and gentlemen, my mum always wanted kids. My dad always wanted sex. And here I am trying to figure shit out. Or something like that. That's crap. I wasn't very good. I did like 10 comedy shows, I think like 10 gong shows. 5 I was happy with, and of the other 5, 2 were meh, and 3 were horrible. Soul destroyingly horrible. Very embarrassing. I remember one of them in particular. They, people shouldn't have let me do it. I was concussed. I'd suffered quite a bad concussion because some fucking guy. I was walking through town drunk, and this massive fella was walking towards me. And I went, look at all the muscles, just mocking him like an idiot. And he went, crack, knocked me out. The back of my head hit the concrete, pool of blood forming behind me. My friends were like, fucking hell, he's fucked. Called the police over, and police could see the blood and everything. And they went, nah, he's faking it. And they left me for dead. My friends at the time had no phone. They had to borrow somebody else's phone. Eventually got an ambulance, and yeah, I was very concussed. Um, and my brain was all over the place. I woke up one morning and asking my mum, I said, where's my wife? She said, Dean, you're not married. I said, yeah, my wife, Chelsea Blackburn. It's just some random lass that we know from Lancaster. I thought she was my wife. I'm not even, I mean, she's all right, but I'm not even particularly attracted to her or anything. I just, for some reason, my brain remembered her as my wife. Anyway, a few days after that, I went and did this stand-up show. And it was just tragic. I think I lasted the 5 minutes, not out of it being funny particularly, but just out of, I think people were just like curious, like, where the hell is he going with this? I had this whole bit about, like, oh, it's so crap. About how the bigger the mode of transport, the more people worry about missing it. Like when the taxi pulls up, it's like, oh, yeah, come on, the taxi. And it's the bus. So we run for the bus. That's like a big deal. The train, don't be late for the train, don't miss the train. And then it's the plane. You see people on these airline shows breaking down in the airport, crying. It's this whole big deal. The bigger the mode of transport physically, the more we care about missing it. And so fucking George Carlin. Um, what are you getting at? I didn't really have a punchline. I was just exploring that stupid notion for about 5 minutes. Yeah, definitely no more seeds tonight. Anyway, I've only just had those 2, and they take a couple of hours to sort of kick in. And yeah, I've already had the previous 4. I'm already sweating. That's enough. That's enough for me. Don't really know what to say because I'm sort of like, on one hand, like I said before, I'm starting to feel a little vulnerable in a nice way, not an anxious way. You know, it's one of the things with LSA, similar with LSD, is it's quite reassuring. Although you kind of start to come apart a little as you connect more, it's almost like there's a hand on your shoulder that's kind of just guiding you. And well, that's how I feel anyway. Everything's going to be okay. Uh, I'm starting to feel a little bit like the last time I took LSD, which was a hell of a long time ago, um, at Eden Festival in Scotland. I was there on my own, just doing solo music and a few poems and a few jokes and stuff. And this guy, he didn't have LSD tabs, he had it in a fucking bottle, liquid form. And he put a load out on my hand, and it goes into your pores anyway, but I was licking it all off. And I kept asking him for a bit more, which was really silly. Um, really silly. We got to this point where we were like sat around the campfire, and I was just like watching the fire at the flames, and they were all looking like tigers diving out of the fire. That was, cool to see. But I remember we got to this point where I realized I don't know any of these people. I'm like totally alone here. I don't know any of these people. And I kind of started to vibrate and just feel very vulnerable in not a good way, I'd say. And this guy that was next to me was like rubbing my back. He was, he was trying to comfort me. And I didn't realize this was happening for a good few minutes. And then I eventually realized this fucking stranger is touching me. Like this fella's rubbing my back. I went, whoa! I said, who the fuck are you? He said, get off! Get off! But he said, no, man, I'm just trying to see if you're all right because you're shivering and maybe I was crying or something. I don't know. He said, no, you're all right, mate. You're all right. And I was like, get the fuck away from me. I don't know who you are. He definitely meant well. Um, I felt about that way for maybe an hour and a half, a couple of hours. And then after that, it's kind of smoothed down. And I remember everybody else had left the fire. And there was me. And there was this lady sat on the other side of the fire, quite attractive lady. And she was like doing freestyle poetry. And normally I would have thought this is fucking horribly cringe and not making a lot of sense. But for some reason I was kind of captivated by it. It was very interesting and just like there was no particular narrative to it. She was just sort of saying words that sometimes rhymed or sometimes didn't and describing this kind of whatever she was describing. Anyway, it was really interesting. And I remember flicking through my notebook that I had with me because I had a notebook full of poems that I've been writing. Partly because I was performing them at the festival, and partly because it's just what I like to do sometimes. And I remember reading them back and thinking, the fuck is this? It was just me trying to be funny, but in a very paper thin kind of way. And I thought, oh my God, where am I going with this? What am I trying to say with this? I'm just trying to get people to like me. I'm just trying to entertain for the sake of entertaining, a little bit like this live stream, I suppose. And I started tearing out the pages and throwing them into the fire. And then watching the flames, the tigers that came back that were like leaping out of the fire as I was throwing in my crap poetry. And this lady said, she said, why are you doing that? I said, well, it's very cathartic. You know, it's like shedding your skin. I wasn't trying to get poetic. That's generally how I felt. You know, it's all cringe. The whole poetry thing is cringe, but it's like shedding your skin. You know, I'm getting rid of these old versions of me, these old ideas, casting them into the flames, and hopefully renewing something. Doing something new, becoming something new. Hopefully. Um, I don't know. That was a strange festival. I had way too much of that LSD because I remember on the coach on the way back the following day, sat looking at people's faces and they were all like morphing and changing, and I was sort of thinking, oh God. And I eventually got back home to my flat. And because I'd not been there for about a week, I think I'd left a banana out or something, and there was all these fruit flies. And at the time, it literally felt like walking into a fucking rainforest. It was like a jungle of life. I thought, oh my God, what has my flat become? All these fucking creatures. And it was so overwhelming. I just didn't, I just basically curled up and went to sleep. The next day I woke up fully sober again. And it was just a banana with a few fruit flies around it. You know what I mean? No big deal. Just put the banana in the bin, man. Open the window, the flies will go. But at the time it felt very sort of overwhelming. I think that's one of the things with psychedelics. What it does, it's sort of like the opposite of drinking alcohol. Alcohol numbs the senses, and so you think and feel less. And psychedelics expand the senses, so you can smell more, you can see further, you can hear deeper, you can feel deeper, you can, you know, everything's a bit more profound, which is nice, especially for me. It makes a change. I've been an alcoholic on and off for many, many years. Caused nothing but problems. and I'm looking to get out of that. As I mentioned in the previous thing, I've started going to groups again, AA meetings and things to try and rectify this alcoholism. And I just thought this psychedelic intervention of these Hawaiian baby woodrose seeds would be a useful stepping stone along the way. And, who knows? I'm experimenting with sobriety. Not gonna lie, I completely stole that from Doug Stanhope, one of my favourite comedians. In his new special, he talks about these days, I've been experimenting with sobriety. And he made me laugh because I thought that's so me. That's what I've been doing. I've been experimenting with it. But I think it's time to make it the norm. I don't know if I can ever be like a completely 100% sober kind of person. Because one of the things that annoys me about these AA addicts, I'll call them, is sobriety becomes their entire identity. It's like who they are. And it's like it's all consuming. Like, I am the sober person. It's like, okay. Um, I don't want to, as much as I don't want to erode my identity with alcohol, I also don't want to erode it with sobriety, if that makes any sense. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. It's a difficult one. Yeah, I don't really know what I'm saying. I can feel my stomach starting to. What's that Prince song? Touch if you will my stomach. Feel how it trembles inside. You got the butterflies all tied up. Don't make me chase you. Even doves have pride. How could you just leave me standing alone in a world that's so cold? Maybe I'm just too demanding. Maybe I'm just like my father, too bold. Maybe you're just like my mother. She's never satisfied. Why do we scream at each other? This is what it sounds like when doves cry. Lovely song, that. I love Prince. I love music, but I love Prince. And no, not in a gay way. I think Prince is a cut above when it comes to musicians and artists in general. My hero. Um, I'm sweating slightly less. Um, I certainly don't feel like drinking alcohol, which is low level miraculous for me. It's been all day, and I just couldn't think of anything that I'd less like to do. Um, Partly as my mind is, this is gonna sound cringe, but like opening up a little, and I'm starting to feel a little more. Um, new neurons are connecting that don't normally connect or haven't for a very long time. I've been dormant for many years, and I'm liking it. I'm feeling the opposite of drunk, and the more I get into it, the less I want to feel drunk. If that makes any sense. Also, partially, I'll be completely. What's the word? Uh, Forgot the word, but like, yeah, I feel a little sick in my stomach, and so the idea of pouring alcohol onto that, nah, not good. Uh, is it time for a cigarette, my friend? Maybe. Where'd you put those fags, fag? Probably in here. Really? Yeah. I'm also quite bloody tired. I'm getting about 3 hours sleep last night. Um, so I don't know. Try and have an early night, but we'll see how it goes. I always find it very difficult to sleep on anything psychedelic, even very mildly psychedelic like cannabis. I know people say they smoke weed to help them sleep and stuff, and I used to kid myself that that's what I was doing. But I'd smoke weed, and I'd become so interested in just everything and thinking. I would lie in bed, lazy, just enjoying the thoughts and everything and the sensations until that wore off. And once that wore off, I could sleep. So it was kind of the catch-22, really. Oh, I can't sleep. I'll buy a 20 bag of weed. I buy the 20 bag of weed, and I'm up all night smoking it, thinking and having a nice time. And then once it runs out, then I got to sleep. Silly, very silly. Um, I feel in a little bit of a conversational dead end, partly because I'm just like kind of talking to myself, and partly because well, there's so many reasons. I don't entirely know why I'm doing this. The live stream, I mean, I can't remember the what initially caused me to want to do it. I think it's just I think I like to feel entertaining. I like to feel useful in some way. That's so kind of embarrassing to say, but what's embarrassing? No, that's not embarrassing to say. What's embarrassing is how unuseful what I'm doing is, and the fact that I would do this to feel in some way useful. Well, I suppose entertainment has its uses. If this has been entertaining in any way, then that's a good thing, I suppose. Um, Possibly not for my ego, but hopefully, we've passed some time in a enjoyable way. Hopefully, uh, but I don't know. I feel like I'm kind of losing a bit of my what to say and why to say it. So I think I need a bit of time just for myself. Um, all right. Anyway, you fuckers. Uh, Again, it's only brief. I haven't live streamed in many, many years. I've done three in the last 3 days. I don't know, something to do in it. It's fun. Um, I'll speak to you again soon. Perhaps later tonight, but probably not. But yeah, I'll speak to you soon. And I don't know. Thanks for watching, I guess. Hope it's been somewhat enjoyable and not too annoying. And yeah, I'll stop rambling now. Right. Take it easy. Ciao, you motherfuckers. Don't do anything I would. And we do jokes on this show. Not on this particular show, but in general. All right. See you later.